Hi everyone, it's Tammy at Willow and Violet, and I just wanted to take a second to show you the latest junk journal download I have on my Etsy site. We'll walk through this really quickly and then we'll wrap up with some ideas for how to finish the back of tags. If you've ever been stuck staring at a bright white back of a tag or a card and wanting to add journaling space or otherwise decorate it and they're just stumped with ideas, I'll share a few simple things you can do. And, nothing revolutionary, but just some easy fixes if you're really having a creative block on how to handle that situation. But first, let's talk about fruits of our labor. So named because it is all about fruit and little pollinators like birds, butterflies, and some other bugs you'll find throughout. This journal consists of 9 themes, and each of the themes includes 4 pages. So this set, for example, includes one full page of full color imagery, again, centering on that fruit theme, and then also one coordinating blank background that matches that previous page. And then you'll find the full color page with 2 paper journaling spots and the plain background with 2 journaling spots. So you can combine these in a number of ways. You can print them two-sided so that in your journal signature you'll have the full color opening it up to some journaling spots and so on. You can mix and match them. So maybe you want this on the outside of your signature and this design on the inside, so on and so forth. You get it. They're very easy to print double-sided. They're all the pages are set up to do so if you like. Also, this set comes with full page plain antiqued paper and a full page of graph, sort of antique looking paper. Those can coordinate with any of the full pages if you prefer to use this full page journaling spot rather than these embedded spots like this one. All right, so this is our first theme. Some peaches and lemons and a bird and butterfly on this sort of white and beige damask background. The next one is a sort of parcel paper type of background with lace that I scanned and fixed in Photoshop myself. And if you've ever had the wonderful life experience of deleting all of the background areas from a piece of lace, you haven't lived until you've done that tedious work, let me tell you. But this page includes birds, butterflies, some berries. Again, the signature comes with a coordinating plain background with your journaling pages. Next, this one, if you're a Tim Holtz fan, you might recognize this. This is a vintage wallpaper that's done the rounds out in the public domain world. Anyone who's probably journaled for a while has run across some of the same vintage wallpapers in the public domain sources available to all of us. In any case, this is a vintage wallpaper with some butterflies and some berry illustrations. Again, it comes with those 4 different types of pages for you to coordinate and use throughout your journal. Here's another vintage wallpaper that I scanned and sort of recolored and duplicated so it would go across the full page. Berries, apples, and a little hidden grasshopper. Moving on, there is this green signature, or rather theme, again with the butterfly bird, some more peaches. This is another, it's part of another popular vintage wallpaper that you may have seen out in the wild. Here we have cherries on this really pretty sort of peachy pink wallpaper background. Next up, we have a blue background with some lattice work and yellow roses with grapes and a little fly. And the next set is on a gold, almost a damask type of background with some plums and birds. If you are familiar with the phenomenon of people being poisoned by their wallpaper because they were using arsenic in the green dyes, if you're not familiar with that, hit the Googles because that is an interesting phenomenon. Anyway, this is arsenic green. So once you see it in this sort of context, you'll see it in a lot of sort of vintage wallpaper motifs. Next up, there's a blue wallpaper background with some citrus fruits, a little beetle, and a bird. And those are the 9 themes that run throughout this journal, journaling kit rather. And then I've added, once we get into the ephemera, I should say, I usually print these pages that the full pages that I'm going to use in journals. I usually print those on a 24-pound copy paper. A regular 20-pound is fine. Those work really well if you're going to print double-sided and have this, inside your journal as pages in your signatures. Once we get up to the ephemera, I usually start printing that sort of thing on cardstock. You'll see in the kit that there are some, what I call the sepia variations. They're sort of complementary variations on the theme in a more sort of sepia newspaper style type background. There are 3 pages of this style of ephemera, tags, banners, and whatnot, pockets in this journal that I've also made available for free download on my coffee shop. That is Willow and Violet, A&D spelled out, Willow and Violet, on coffee.com. And I'll have a link in my description. So in the ephemera section, you'll see I've included a lot of smaller cards. They're a little bit bigger than a traditional artist trading card. You could obviously cut them down. I've also included this sort of 4-color style variations on the themes that we just went through. I've included some tags, some banner styles. Some of these are identical layouts to what you saw in the previous themes. Some of them are switched up a bit, and some of them have entirely new imagery in the fruits and insects and birds themes that you didn't see in the 9 main themes. So there's a lot of things to coordinate throughout your journal so it looks cohesive without being too redundant. This sepia page is also available in that coffee shop download that I mentioned. And then when we get to the back of the ephemera section, you'll find pockets. So there's sort of 5 vertical type pockets. There are a set of 6 coordinating corner pockets or tuck spots. These are flipped, so you can use them on your right and left pages. I included some extra large tags as well as some tabs for any tabs you want to add to your journal pages or other ephemera. These are some extra large pockets. These work with the extra large tags. They can also go sort of vertically in your journal, so you can have a side type of pocket. There's some tickets with our featured fruits. And then the next several pages, I've included some extra large cards of each of the themes, each of the 9 themes again. And these are really versatile. You can cut them down. You can use them as collages. You could use them as a base for other ephemera that you want to put in your journal. For example, you could put one of these right on your, maybe a tea-stained paper, and then put another element over the top. Again, using it as a base. This is an embellished guest check pocket situation that I made. And so that would look really great on any of these. I think it really coordinates nicely with the green. Look really great like that, and with all that stuck onto a journal page. Anyway, they're very versatile, these extra large cards. Of course, you could use them as a postcard type of thing, cut them down however you'd like. I've also included some bookmarks. You could also use these as a belly band to cut down to whatever size you need. And so each of those 9 themes are represented in the extra large cards / backgrounds. And then at the end, I've included just a few of the butterflies and the fruits for you to fussy cut and include in pockets and tuck spots throughout the journal. So that is Fruits of Our Labor, and it's available on my Etsy shop. It's also available on my coffee shop as a paid download. And if you go to the coffee shop link, it is a little bit less expensive for Etsy. So whichever is more convenient for you, please feel free to visit and download the kit from whichever site you prefer. All right, so now I promised you some ideas for what to do with the back of your blank cards that you might find in a downloadable. Maybe you forgot to print them double-sided, or some printers get kind of finicky with cardstock. If it's already gone through your printer one time and it gets a curve in it, sometimes that can cause jams in some printers. So let's talk about what you do with the back of a plain card, a plain banner, tag, etc. I'm going to cut a couple of these out with these Tim Holtz scissors that I just recently got, and I'm in love with them. I am afflicted with an inability to cut in straight lines, and these extra long scissors are very helpful in that regard. Obviously, you could cut these down with a paper trimmer or whatever your preferred method of cutting is. I know that Natasha at Treasure Books, who was one of the first journal makers, paper arts people that I ever started following, she, I think, cuts almost exclusively with a box knife and a ruler. And kudos to her, because whenever I tried that, my ruler would slip precariously. So anyway, however you cut, good for you. Again, these scissors are great. If you've been eyeing them, I highly recommend them. There is a link in the description if you would like to purchase them on Amazon. That's an affiliate link, meaning that I earn a small commission at no additional charge to you. Feel free to check that out. All right, so here are a couple of tags cut out, and so let's talk about what you could do with the back of tags. So one of the easiest things you could do, of course, is ink it up and stencil it, just to get some of that white knocked down. A color like antique linen can be really great to just sort of give it a less sort of white appearance. You can just daub some of that on, give it a little bit of an age spot look. That's always nice. And then it can still sort of live as a blank tag in your journal, but it just looks a little less bright white. That's one option. You could take one of your stencils. I thought honeycomb with wild honey stamp ink would be a good option in this scenario. Going with our fruit and pollinator theme, you could just dab a little bit on, maybe fade that out so that there's still some space for writing, feather it out a little bit. That's very nice looking. And then another option, if you like lines on your tags, which I do, this is a stamp from Recollections, which is the sort of Michael's house brand. And I'm obsessed. This is literally my favorite stamp, and I have a few of them, because you can add lines to anything. I just put it down, ink it up like that, and you can just squish. And the thing is, it doesn't have to be perfect, and you can just mash it up and it looks a little vintagey, aged, what have you. And then you have lines on the back of your tag for journaling. So that's obviously one of the easier things you can do to the back of your cards or tags or anything that's come out bright white and you just want to zhuzh it up a little bit. Of course, another option is covering it with any number of papers. Oh, I wanted to mention one thing. Kathy at Raven Vintage, who's one of my favorite creators in the sort of journaling space, she prints some of her downloads and whatnot on newspaper print paper rather, and you can get this on Amazon. It's inexpensive, and I just think it's such a great idea. It has a nice texture to it, and also it has a really sort of vintagey look because it's already sort of not bright white. Of course, it's going to be thinner than copy paper, but again, you can see the difference in the color between a regular copy paper and that newsprint. It folds lovely. It's really nice to write on. So newsprint, if you've run out of ideas of what to print on, that's a great option. Anyway, back to the tags. So obviously another great thing that you can do is glue any type of paper that you would like onto the back of your tag. And it's so easy to do. This is a turmeric dyed paper, turmeric tea dyed paper. That would look really pretty on the back of that tag. But I'm going to use, I have bought this notepad at the thrift store. It's a Kate Spade notepad. So I was sort of surprised to find it at the thrift store until I opened it and found out that every page is blank on the back, which is a bit odd for a lined notebook, but okay, Kate Spade, you do you. In any case, that makes it absolutely perfect for this usage because I probably don't want this blank writing paper. I don't like writing on blank paper. I don't know if that's a me thing, but I prefer to have guardrails and lines to write in, hence wanting to stamp lines on everything. So what we're going to do is you can just take your glue stick. This is just a Yoo-hoo. Yoo-hoo? Is it pronounced Yoo-hoo? I just realized that, if that's the case. Anyway, this is the standard magic blue one. I only use glue stick in conjunction with other inks, other glues, because everyone in this space is sort of warned that glue stick over time really will lose its hold and will eventually fall apart. Same with a lot of double-sided tape. So I've been sort of warned away from using glue stick on its own. And if you haven't, you might want to take that into consideration. So my two favorite glues, and I feel like all paper crafters have favorite glues. These are my two favorite. These are my go-to. I do sort of use them sort of interchangeably, but also in specific cases. And I'm not sure I can articulate what those cases are, but I know when I know. So this is a case when I'm going to use art glitter glue. Art glitter glue is a universal favorite in this space. I think that practically every paper crafter uses it, loves it. It can be on the pricey side, but if you buy it, this is actually came in a set. So if you buy the 16 ounce with the little 2 ounce, which is a little easier to wield as you're crafting, it's not too bad. Again, there's a link in the bio for this. And I have put my own special little tip on here that I bought separately. It actually comes with a really nice narrow metal tip. There it is right there. So that set actually comes with a good tip, but I'm used to using these, so I'm going for that. So I put down my my glue stick in sort of the middle, but I'm going to go around the edge with this art glitter glue, just running a thin bead relatively close to the edge. If you are an advanced paper crafter, this is literally preschool level content, but thank you for being here. So you just plop this down with no regard for space whatsoever. I have plopped it down in the middle of this lined paper. You can smooth that out with your bone folder. That helps to get any excess glue out of your way. That glue stick was really gloopy when I first opened it, so there's that. And then very easy to just cut this out. I really find that these Tim Holtz scissors are great if you're accidentally going to be cutting through any residual glue. I had a pair of sort of dollar store scissors that got really gummed up from that. It's not something I recommend doing, of course, with any scissors, but it happens because we're impatient and we're not going to wait for our glue to dry, especially while the camera is running. All right, so this is very easy. So now we have a line back on your journaling card. Again, super elementary. I am not breaking any barriers in the craft space by gluing paper onto the back of a tag, but if it's something that you hadn't thought about doing with lined paper, maybe this will be a little inspiration. If you happen to find some Kate Spade paper at the craft store that is strangely lined on one side and unlined on the other, this might be a good option for how to use that. So there's that. Again, that's just a tag with some sort of paper attached to the back. The other option that we had here was stamping. You can stamp lines, you can stamp the honeycomb or any other stencils that you have. I found this color pad at the dollar store. That would be another option for just popping onto the back. Oh, look at that, perfectly sized. So you could use this type of paper on the back if you just wanted to knock out the white background. Also, you know, a little bit more advanced, you could use a book page. So that is a dictionary page. And then you could sew around the edge to take it even another step. You could do a decoupaged napkin. You'll see a lot of YouTube videos where people do these decoupage napkins. It's really easy to do. If you have any napkins in your stash or happen to find any in the wild that are reasonably priced, it really is very easy to do and a way to just fancy up some cardstock, whether it's a tag or a journal base or whatever. And then fabric is one that I've just recently gotten into, putting some fabric on tags, and it's really satisfying texture on the back of this nice little tag. And I did paper on the other side so it could be still journaled, still be a writing spot. So again, those are just a few ideas. So if you print your kits out one-sided and are wondering how to deal with the blank white side, those are just a couple of ideas. Thank you so much for watching. Again, this kit is available in my coffee shop and on Etsy at Willow and Violet. Thank you so much. Bye.